G'day legends and welcome to another Ripper episode of the Aunty, Donna podcast. This week we have a very special episode and I don't want to spoil anything, but it may be a world first. If you're loving the Aunty Donna podcast, you can get the video to this podcast and plenty of bonus podcasts at auntyDonnaClub.com.
You're listening to the Aunty Donna podcast, the greatest fucking podcast in the world. Brother Mike and Zach and sometimes some guests. We hope you enjoy the motherfucking podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to a world first.
I
Don't
do want to
challenge
check.
him.
I do want to check
I
if
know,
it is
but
a world
do you want him
first.
to just say what the world first is and then you can challenge him?
Yeah, but I know what it is, so I'm just going to try and get a step
Because
ahead.
he's been whispering and rumoring.
I haven't been
Ever since you
whispering
said this-
anything.
Ever since you said this, he's been whispering and rumoring. He's been behind your
Okay.
back. He's going, I don't know if it is a world
He is
first."
behind my back because this is what I want to tell our listeners right now is we are doing a world first that
Potentially.
no one has ever done before.
Maybe.
We are broadcasting live. We are going
from
to be the
New
first.
York.
It's
Saturday night.
We will be doing shortly the first ever podcast from a car, a moving car that I am driving. Now go, Mark, shit on me.
No, so there's
With people walking past.
Here's what people have asked. I Google searched, has a podcast ever been recorded in a car?
Moving car.
In a moving car.
Oh.
Well, I'll have a look, but I'll search that next. But we've got questions that come up that say, can you record a podcast in your car? And the answers are, yeah.
We're doing it.
Yes, that's right. A chunk of...
I'm Tom and I'm here too.
Yeah, so
Hello,
that's also
Tom's
important.
here too.
Tom is going to join us. Tom is doing the technical requirements. We will go through the technical requirements a little bit later. But
I mean, look, there is a video on YouTube how to podcast in the car.
Yeah.
Should
But
I
you know-
watch
but
it
Ma-
and
Mark,
see if
Mark,
they're moving?
Mark, I want you to say like how to fight with a lightsaber, right? Because I reckon there would be answers there. Just because there's a how-to video doesn't mean it's been done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, if
'Cause
they're
nerds
showing
will
you
make
how
a how-to about
then isn't
anything.
that technically them doing it?
But
We value our listeners and we're always breaking boundaries. We are Elon Musk.
I want you to know,
Of podcasting.
I want you to be right. You think I don't want this to be a world first? You
Yeah.
think I don't want this to be an exclusive?
Yeah.
If that's your attitude towards me, you're a fucking cunt.
Can I just
Have
say,
I said one thing against you?
No, I'm just saying
Oh,
that
wow.
makes you a fucking cunt.
Cunt.
All right? I want nothing
Oh my god!
but for this to be the first ever. I want to break ground. I want people to be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But there's this
I
man.
put my window down.
There's this man on YouTube
Yeah,
who's
he's
showing you how to
podcasting from a
record,
car.
but the car hasn't started moving.
Well,
we-
turn it off then. Turn it off.
Can we set some ground rules? Being that this is the first
Do you
time,
want your window down in the podcast?
it's going to be noisy.
Yeah, just for now.
The wind,
Oh,
maybe.
maybe.
now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
We're
I
not
can do-
moving yet. If you're wondering why it sounds so good, it's because we're not moving yet.
Yet. All right,
Can
so
I,
what,
Mark?
Yeah, what is amazing is I got to the
Oh
end of
my
this video,
goodness.
car has not moved. So,
Oh,
that's a
okay,
good-
so there you go.
Yeah.
So we're the first then.
What's the video called, Mark?
The video is called How to Podcast in the Car.
So here's what's happened, Mark. You have been so blinded by your own desire to bring down this world-breaking attempt,
There's a car. Listen.
which is, and again, I don't think we've ever said it. This is the first I know we have.
This is the first
First
ever
podcast
in a moving
that
car.
will be
It will
recorded
be.
in a moving car.
There's a couple of-
In your desire, Mark, listen to
Yeah.
me, man. In your desire to bring down this goal,
Absolutely not. Not my
we
desire,
said
but go on.
multiple times to you, moving car, and then you've gone and wasted our time talking about some man in a still car. Of course, there's been podcasts in still cars.
Another question that comes up
Yeah.
is why would you listen to a podcast?
Well,
Or our podcast.
No, just in general.
is that when you search it? That's what comes
When
up.
you search, has a podcast ever been recorded in a car? Another question that comes up is why would you listen
It's
to
easy.
any podcast?
It's a way to try out your ideas, catch up with your friends.
And break new ground.
You know, something to talk about. Listen to podcasts. I thought it was make podcasts. I've never listened to a podcast in my life. I make about 4 a week, but I've never listened to a podcast.
Yeah.
Broden, Mark,
Yeah.
I think before we move this car,
Yep.
and change the history of podcasting forever, I think we should set some ground rules.
Yeah, and then we set the ground rules, and then I want to have our first ever guest on.
Oh.
First ever guest on the podcast.
No, on the moving car version of the pod. on the
right.
car
So
podcast.
once the car is moving.
No. Sorry. Before we move, we'll get our guest on.
Guest on. So right now we're in a still car, but at some point this car will be moving, and when that car starts moving, the history of podcasting will
right.
change.
And can I just say very quickly, this episode is not groundbreaking. Obviously, it's going to be in a car. The cliffhanger of this episode is we are going to move.
So this is not the ground-breaking podcast. This is the end of an era.
Yeah.
By being in a still car, what you're listening to now is the end of podcasts solely being a stationary thing.
I've found something on YouTube. I don't want to talk about it. I think what's really great is that regardless of whether we're doing a world first or not,
Yep.
it's a fucking cool, funny, great thing
Original.
to do.
Original.
Mate,
And probably pretty original as well.
The
but
issue
we
is
don't know.
the podcast will be unlistenable because there'll be the drone of a moving car underneath it. The only value it has is in its groundbreaking nature.
But speaking of ground, can you set the ground rules?
Well, I'm not so much setting them. I've got a couple of ideas. I think this is a conversation.
Tom, can you write down the ground rules?
Yeah, I got to take you through the technical rules.
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Spoiler alert, Tom's our first guest.
And spoilers are on cars.
Yeah, perfect. Link back to we're in a car.
I am going to... My goal, my mission...
Is this a ground rule?
Yeah.
If it's not a ground rule, I'd like you to table it.
Let's make it a ground rule.
We can table it to the end of the meeting, but
I'm
wanna
setting
cover
up a ground rule.
Should we bring in our guest?
No, I'd like you to
Okay.
table that too.
A table we bring in a guest.
Yeah, we'll table that.
I feel
Come back
like
to
it's
it
a
if we have
ground
time at the end of
rule.
the meeting.
I feel like it's a ground rule
what's the
that
ground
we
rule?
can bring guests in.
Yep. Whenever we want.
Whenever we want.
All right. So
That's
our first
It's
guest.
not really a rule.
It's a ground rule.
Okay.
Oh, like over and above. So we can't table guest introductions
Yes.
because you want to introduce Tom,
Yeah.
who's here.
Yeah.
Like again, I feel like you already introduced Tom,
Yeah, but I want it as a guest.
like as a guest.
Yeah.
So he can then interject at times.
And he can explain the technical requirements and like he's going to have places that he wants us to go.
Yeah.
We set up the concept though.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're in a car. We're going to move.
Right now it's stationary. It's a room on wheels.
Our first guest, you know him from other podcasts. He is a regular on the podcast available on the Aunty Donna Club. He is the he's an actor-nominated composer, and he is in the back seat, and he is the producer of this podcast. Please welcome Tom.
Hello, everybody.
Tom, the technical issues that you've had to face to move a stationary podcast to a
Oh, I love this.
what's
This has got like a like a stunt or a magic trick.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
a
the
TV
fill, the
special
fill,
thing.
yeah.
You know, those like
Yeah.
it's only going to be 1 minute, so
Yeah.
we've got to fill the hour.
Tom, you've hit some technical issues from making a stationary bit of entertainment what would you say, like move? What's a better word for moving?
a moving car. That's the
Like
big idea.
but
Have we set that up though? We've
A,
set that up,
a
haven't we?
transportable
yeah,
podcast.
a moving piece of entertainment. What are the technical issues you've come across?
So I had to buy some new microphones.
Yep.
And I borrowed a Zoom recording device off Max.
Yep. Okay.
And then I went to a music store and bought the cheapest microphones I could, which has actually worked out well, guys, because it's not going to record anything more than like a foot away. So there's no sound coming out of the microphone now. So I think the car noise is going to be quite minimal, to be honest.
And if I can talk on that, when we start moving, for road rules, I will be having two hands on the wheel. I'm the driver.
Yes.
Sorry if you're only listening. I'm driving. Zach is in the front
In the
passenger
Lana
seat.
position.
The front passenger seat. Mark Bonanno
Is in the Madison.
is
Madison.
in the middle seat in the back.
Broden
Tom
is
Arndt-
the Shaylee.
And Tom is the producer.
Tom's hiding up the
Back left. Now, but I'm saying, so when we're driving,
Ground
Zach,
rule number 2, Broden.
What?
You're about to say ground rule number 2.
Hands on the wheel.
Two hands, on the wheel. That's we don't want you listening and thinking, oh, well, I'm going to do my dumb shit podcast that no one listens to in a moving car now.
And
well, if the Aunty Donna boys do it, maybe I'll take my stupid fucking podcast where it's just me talking to
Zach,
people.
don't do this, Zach.
And
Don't.
you go, oh, maybe I'll do it in a moving car, and then you're going to crash, you're going to die. And then who's going to try and sue us? Your parents. Well, no, ground rule number 2.
2 hands on the wheel. Which means, Zach, that you will have to hold my microphone to my face while I drive.
You're making me feel like a little bitch.
I see you more as a cuck.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
So ground rule number 3.
No cucks.
No, cucking.
No, I think
this
we
is
have
a
to cuck.
This is a poly.
if there's
space.
no cucks, Broden, we're not going to be able to hear you talk.
Can I just say?
And I refuse to have a podcast where you're driving in your car, which, by the way, you can tell Broden does very well for himself.
For those playing at home, it's a Hyundai Elantra.
It is.
What's this?
Nice.
2014, 2015.
It
Yeah,
is.
I believe so. A Hyundai Elantra.
CE. Nice. When people get in your car, do they go, oh, all right,
No.
okay,
No.
Netflix?
Down.
What?
That's okay.
I forgot to write the rules down.
Tom.
Don't worry,
Tom, that's
I'll
okay.
memorize them.
Because there's only 2 so far.
The 2 rules
You
are,
gotta
number
write them
1,
down. Number 1, a guest can be introduced at any time.
number
2,
2 hands on the wheel. Number 3.
Number 3, I'm about to say right now, there's going to be a lot of visual stimulation. For all of the people hosting this podcast, we're going to see things. We're going to see posters for Hard Quiz Live. We're going to see dogs. We're going to see
Other cars.
We're going to see maybe some hot dudes or dudettes, and we're going to want to comment on them. Remember, the podcast is first and foremost an audio medium. So if we see something, we describe it for the listener.
That's a great ground rule.
I had a moment early on in this podcast where I started to worry. I started to worry that not only would the drone of the motor be unlistenable and unpleasant, it would also just be a series of 3 men going, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Oh, well, they're funny. No, we describe what we've seen.
Describe what you see.
Rule number 1.
And also, just on your motor thing, that's the joy of the Hyundai Elantra. Beautiful, smooth ride, quiet engine.
Does it have a bit of a? Is it a hybrid?
I was
No,
going to
not a
list
hybrid,
all
no,
of them, but
no.
before we do,
maybe he's not doing as well as I thought.
Before we do, I'm gonna just throw out rule number 4. Rule number 4 is do not get in the way of Broden when he's trying to get a Hyundai sponsorship.
Oh yes, yeah, we want to get Broden a
Just,
Hyundai.
if I can
wants to
interrupt,
get a-
here's an example. A lovely older couple has walked past with 3 dogs.
And what are the dogs? What are the colour of the
There
dogs?
was a Labrador. There were 2 Labradors maybe, and I didn't see the other one.
But that's okay. You've given enough information rather than just going, oh, woof, woof, woof. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
look at that. Yeah, you can't do things like that. You can't be like, oh, that's funny. No, because they're not going to know.
Who's not going to know? You're
The
not.
You know what's
audience
great
isn't
about this?
gonna know.
Do you know what?
You-
A lot of
you.
people listen to podcasts in cars, moving cars.
Yeah.
We're matching them.
And that's rule number 5.
We're gonna be on the same level.
You are not to listen to next week's podcast in a moving car. That's too much moving car.
Yeah.
Too much moving for you.
You have to listen to next week's podcast in a podcast studio.
Or in a stationary car. As I think a stationary car would be fine.
Yeah.
No.
All right, no, all right. I'm on board then.
And we're not going to get mad at you if you listen in a moving car either. Like, you can do that.
I am. I'm going to come for you.
Well, there it is.
Well, that's only 1 out
And
of
here's-
3.
Which brings me to my next rule. No veiled threats.
no veiled threats.
And
is
that's why
ground rule.
that threat was
5?
overt. That was an overt threat.
It's things like someone's going to hurt you.
Oh,
Not allowed.
You might regret that decision, but if you're going to threaten the listener, you have to say it as clearly as I did. If you listen to the next week's podcast in a moving car, I will
No, let's beep that. Let's beep that.
Yeah, I would beep
Do we
that
need to
out.
beep
Yeah,
that?
that-
Just for
I'm trying to
everyone
kill
listening
people.
at home, we have not started moving yet.
No.
We're still in the car.
What are we doing, Mark? We're setting the ground rules.
We're setting the ground rules. We're in park. The handbrake is...
On!
That's safety. Broden,
Yeah.
put the hazards on. Not sure if you can hear them. Hazards are working. The hazards are when both blinkers are beeping and you're letting someone know, hey, something's going on. I need to take care of this, and I may not be mobile in a moment.
Tom,
Yes.
can I hear the ground rules so far?
We'll do that. We'll do that right after a word from our sponsors. Welcome, Tom.
All right. Ground rule number 1. A guest can be introduced at any time. Ground rule number 2. 2 hands on the wheel
Tom,
at all
Tom,
times.
I'm going to
Yes.
stop you, mate,
Yep.
because I'd like to introduce our second guest for the podcast. It's Mark Banana.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Mark. All right, back to Tom.
All right. Number 3.
Just tested it.
Describe what you see.
Describe what you see.
Could I, Zach, I would love for you to give us an example of that right now. Give us something that you see. Don't just fluff over it.
Okay.
Do a description of something that is out there that you want the audience to know about in the detail in which we should be doing when the car starts moving, which it's not currently.
So perhaps I want to talk about the fact that here's an example.
Yeah.
Just one example.
Just pick
Just
something
one-
that you
One
see
thing at
and do it.
random.
One thing example.
Come on.
Maybe we should buy some ice cream from over there.
No, where? From where? From where?
What?
Do it. Just pick the car in front of
over
us.
there. Is it closed or not? I don't know.
Pick the
but
car
we
in
should buy
front
some
of us.
ice cream from there.
Just do the car.
Okay, the car in front of us. For example, that's a nice one.
Yeah. What is the color of the car?
Okay, Mark, I see what you're asking me to do. I need to tell you that I'm looking at a nice, beautiful Chrysler.
Nice.
It's black and it's sharp. It's got it. Whilst it is modern, it evokes some of the more angular design features of an older mid 20th century car.
And what's the license rego number?
I don't know if I can say it.
Describe what you see over there.
Look at them. It's them.
Describe the woman and the baby. What's going on over there?
Oh, well-
the woman and the pram.
Well, you say the woman in the pram, but we've got Max and Tanya walking past. Max, of
Max
course.
rigged the GoPro into the car and is now leaving for the day for us to record said podcast.
Said podcast is being recorded in a car. Is it moving?
No.
Will
Or-
it be one day?
Yes.
When is that day?
Next
Today-
week.
today.
Well,
Today,
for
but
us,
next week
it
for-
is- we are recording this in one go, but next week.
Yeah.
Boys.
Next week.
Sorry, and I should say, when I was saying it was a joke, I don't want to break the rule. When I was talking about buying ice cream over there, I was referring to a milk bar on the corner of the street, a closed milk bar advertising Streets ice cream. This milk bar could have been closed for a long time because it has the logo, the Streets logo, that was removed in the mid-2000s for the Heart logo, a Unilever logo used on over 50 brands.
Probably
It's
too much
the
information.
original
doesn't need to
Streets
go that
logo,
deep.
not the Heart logo that you know from over 50 Unilever
Okay.
brands.
Any more rules we want to add?
What are the rules?
Oh yeah, we didn't get.
we didn't get through all of
We didn't
them.
get through them all.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we've got guest number 3, Broden Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is an excellent use of rule number 1, Zach.
Thank you so much.
Oh, can I add a rule?
Yeah.
Seatbelts.
Oh,
Seat belts, of course.
So you writing that down?
That should be 1A.
No, that's number 7.
All right. Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
Number 4. Do not get in the way of Broden trying to get a
Oh,
Honda
I want to
sponsorship.
introduce a guest.
Oh, can we get done at any time?
Our next guest is Max Miller, our director, in the car next to us. Hello, Max.
Hello.
You won't be able to hear him. Can you hear that? Yell.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yell louder, Max. Yell.
Can you hear me?
Okay, great. That was Max.
Hi.
So Max Miller, our director, we just recorded some podcasts with us. He was filming. He's driving past the car.
He's not
set
sure
up
whether
our
he should go or
GoPro.
not. He's not-
He is in a
he's-
moving car, but we are not.
Yet.
Yet.
I want to make that very clear.
Next rule.
Okay, I need the microphone back. Thank you, Mark. You are not to listen to next week's podcast in a car. You must rent a podcast studio to listen to next week's podcast.
Okay, I'm on board with that now.
Okay.
Well, that's good. That's all I needed was to get 2 on board. That is rule number 8.
5.
Rule number 8 is if you want to introduce a rule, you must get 1 co-signer on that rule. You must have 2 people out of the 4 in the car must agree to that rule.
Right. And then number 6 is no veiled threats.
Veiled.
Veiled. Sorry.
Do we have 2 behind veiled threats?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with it as well. So
And
that's
then-
3.
Number 7 is seatbelts at all times.
Ah, good one.
And rule number 8, if you want to introduce a rule, you must get 2 cunts on board.
Yep.
Yep.
There we go. 2. Can
Now-
I ask a quick question about rule number 7? What if we're just in the driveway still and we're just finishing our breakfast?
Well, what's interesting about Rule 7 is it says seatbelts at all times.
So you go put that seatbelt on.
What
before
you have
even move.
described is a times,
Yeah.
and so it must be put on
That was a trick question. Of course you wear your seatbelt then.
at all times.
Now, Tom, how far into the podcast are we?
21 minutes.
Wow.
Well, then we've got a little bit more time because I want to make a list, and I want this to be rule number 9.
Yep.
Everything that we suggest, we must make a list of places we go, and we must do them all.
And do you have someone co-signing on that rule?
Well,
I'll co-sign.
There we go.
Tom co-signed, but he was off microphone. Another rule.
change.
Another rule. Rule 10. Talk into the microphone.
Well, that is on me. That is on me. I've got to make sure I'm on Tom duty here, making sure I'm picking up Tom whenever his sweet little mouth is
Now-
spitting something out.
I have one question,
Correct.
and we can keep bringing in more rules as we go, but we should start on this little list of Brodens. I have one question to the
Yep.
boys and the girls in this car. My question is this question. Are you ready to change the world of podcasting?
Yes,
Yeah, I am, yeah.
I am.
And my second question is, have we explained to the audience how we're going to be doing that?
Yes, we have, yes.
we
With
are,
the moving car thing?
and I'm
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
to talk about it again because there's 9 minutes left, and
I really think it's important to make the list. Of
Broden's
things
got
we-
a-
we
the-
should make
the
the
list.
list. We should make the
I
list.
really think that's...
Is where we're going in the next week's podcast?
No, we're going to go.
Yeah, we're going to go there.
What's the rule?
The rule is it's not a rule. It's a
It is. It's rule number 9.
rule number 9 is we
I
must
live
make
by
a
the
list,
rules.
but that's not a
I'm
ground
like a Steven
rule.
Seagal type.
That's just more of a list. That's just more of a.
no, it's a rule.
We must make a list of places to visit and visit them all.
Well, that's the rule.
I guess that's the rule. More just something we. It's like because we only have to do it once. Once it's done, it's done.
Mark, just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean it wasn't a rule. It
not that
was
I don't
added
agree
to the
with it.
rules list and had a co-signer. I didn't co-sign it because I agree with you, but it's a rule.
All right.
I don't make the rules, and one of the rules is every rule must have a co-signer, and then it's a rule. So it's a rule.
Can
I have a sub rule.
Oh,
A sub rule?
I'm
No,
not-
it's rule number 10. Can I go? It's not rule number 10 because rule number 10 is there's no sub rules, only rules.
That's rule.
I'll co-sign that.
That's
Okay.
rule 11.
No, that's rule number 10. Now yours is rule number 11.
All
No,
right.
10 is talking to the microphone.
Okay, so that's rule number 11. Yours is rule number 12.
Yeah. Rule number 12.
No sub rules.
Everyone may get one place we visit, and that place must be visited.
That's rule number 9.
No.
That's, you
Rule
just-
number 9 is,
That's
Tom,
an amendment.
must talk in a microphone.
Rule number 9 is we must make a list of places to visit and visit them all.
And what did you just say?
The rule is everyone may get one place to visit.
Oh, that's more of a sub rule, though, isn't it?
No,
Rule 11.
I don't think it's a
can't.
sub rule.
You got me there, cunt.
Rule number 11 is no sub rules. So how could this possibly be a sub rule?
It isn't. It's rule 12.
was a
Rule
trick question.
13.
Rule 13.
Rule 12 again?
Everyone
Every
gets one.
person gets one visit
Okay.
Every person gets one place
To go.
visit.
Yeah.
to go. But you also had that thing about it, and we must go there, but that's rule number 9. So
Rule-
just everyone gets one place to visit.
Yeah, rule
And
number.
then also probably like see rule number 9.
Rule number 13.
Or whether we visit that place. Or not.
Rule number 13.
So does that make sense, Tom? Just before we get to 13, rule number 12 is everyone gets to choose one place, and then whether we visit that place or not, see rule number 9.
Yep.
This is going to be good. But I feel like we're building a democracy that will hold this new world
I didn't want to
of
say that.
moving podcasts.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking of a rule number 14 after Mark's rule number 13. I'll get to it.
Yeah, what's rules marks number 13?
No, I want you to do your rule, and then my rule will come in later.
Is it? Really?
Yep.
So is mine now rule number 13?
Lucky 13.
Yep.
Go
Yep.
for it, Zach.
If the rules are broken and the rule breaker
Yes.
challenges the accusation of a rule breaking, they have the right to take that claim to the moving car Supreme Court, which must be made up of at least 3 members of the moving car.
Would you say the other 3 members? Because could the person challenging it be to then technically be on the
Mark,
Supreme High Court?
I hear what you're saying. I want to future-proof this rule, though. So if there's more people in future moving cars, it will remain at 3. Does this make sense?
No.
So we might have people in the boot for the next moving car podcast. I'm trying to create a robust democracy here. I'm trying to create
Checks and balances.
and I'm trying to create, I don't want a centralized power here. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm setting up a Supreme Court made up of at least 3 members of the moving car.
I think regardless of whether there are more people in the car or not,
Yeah.
my query stands, which is, if I were to challenge a rule, it's about challenging rules.
No,
right?
so it's about if I break the rule
If
and
you
you
break the rule.
accuse me of breaking the
Yep,
rule,
yep.
and it is my belief that
you
I have
haven't.
not broken the rule. So first protocol, you accuse me of breaking the rule, and we'll get into the later rules will determine the punishment.
Yep.
If I agree, I say, yes, I broke that rule, we move forward. If I do not agree, that is when rule number 13 comes into play, which is, carry on.
Which is that at least 3 members. It gets taken to the High Supreme Court.
The moving car Supreme
The moving car
Court.
Supreme Court made up of at least 3 members of the moving car. My query is,
Yeah.
in the scenario that you set,
Yes.
can you be on the Supreme Court?
Absolutely, yes. Rule number 14. The Supreme Court's makeup will be decided by the president of the car,
Who is?
who is, rule number 15, he who holds the driver's microphone.
I don't support that.
Yeah, I'm no. I'm
one's
saying no.
moving.
I'm saying no on that.
No one's moving to support you. You can't.
No, you didn't get a support?
No.
What about 13, 14? I think the Supreme Court's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
think I
happy
agree
to
with
do
that.
the Supreme Court.
What is
13,
it? So this is not
14,
communism.
I'm getting co-signing on 13, 14, and we can discuss 15. How do we decide the president?
I think the president of the car should be drawn at random.
I choose a man of truth, someone who represents all of our communities, and who better than old Tom?
Yeah,
All right.
President. I'll be
Okay.
president.
All right, I'm happy for that.
Rule number
He's
15.
seen more than any of us. His
Hey.
family has lived through much of the quarrels of our world.
Can we future-proof it, though? Can we?
What else did they say about that
future-proof
little
it to,
wheelchair boy?
To the tech.
What?
Game of Thrones.
Oh, I don't know.
We're future-proofing.
Who more experienced than Bran of
Bran.
Tom?
Oh, right. That's when they
Can
just
we
fucking
future-proof
land on him.
15?
Him.
to be he who holds the sound equipment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he who holds the sound
no, see,
equipment.
there's a loophole there that Zach is creating.
No.
That I don't trust or agree
challenge
with.
it in future or add more rules.
Well, then
Can we
I'm
just
not. Well, then I'm
agree?
just not agreeing. I'm not co-signing. I'm not co-signing.
He with the curly hair.
No, I think we need to future-proof it.
You
What
could
about
go
this?
get a perm.
What about this? He who both holds the sound equipment and knows how to use it.
Why not
Yeah,
just
great.
Tom?
Because what if Tom leaves?
What if he
What if we're
turns
in-
like a Daenerys?
Yeah, what if he turns?
And what if you learn?
What if I learn? Absolutely. Then I might then try to step up and we set up other rules to protect the
There is
democracy.
a clear scenario here. where Zach breaks a rule,
But
is
Mark,
accused
Mark.
of breaking the rule,
Mark.
is on the Supreme Court because it's decided by the president, who is also Zach.
Now, Mark.
This is
Mark.
not a scenario I
Checks
wish to
and
find myself
balances.
in, either in the next podcast
Okay.
or future car podcasts.
Can I just explain to
I'm
you
moving it
why
then.
there's a
I'm
flaw
moving
here? Say I become the president. I'm
Yeah.
talking about a situation where all four of us are no longer in the moving car. It's a completely different podcast.
Run out of
group.
time.
No, let me just set the rules. It's a completely different group of people. How do you determine the president if none of them are named Tom? Okay? Now, to some of your other concerns, okay, just quickly, and then we'll move the car. We'll get to who the Prime
we need
Minister
to pick
is.
the places we're going to go
Yeah,
first.
and
have
also
to
we'll
pick-
get to who the Prime Minister is, and then we'll move the car. But I just want to say, Mark, say I am the president. Somehow I learn how to use this piece of sound equipment. I then have the piece of sound equipment. That makes me the president. I break the rule, which I'm not going to do. You challenge me, and I determine the Supreme Court, and I put myself on the Supreme Court. I'm only one vote. There's still
true.
two votes. This is how checks and balances work. Democracy is not perfect. So Winston Churchill said, it is just the most perfect thing that we can think of at this time.
I think that's a fair point.
Will ye co-sign with me?
I will co-sign with you, Zach.
Tom already said that before you went on your
Before you
rant.
do that speech.
And Prime Minister is decided by a vote.
It's president.
No, the president is he who...
It's different.
Rule number 16, Prime Minister is
And
decided
president
by
are
a vote. At the start of every podcast.
All right.
Any podcast in a moving car, the first call to order is who is the Prime Minister of the car.
What powers does the Prime Minister hold?
Well, do we agree on that? And then we can talk
Yeah,
to
I'll
the Prime
move that.
Minister.
I need to know. Well, it's already in. It's in.
Okay,
It's
there we
done.
go. We've had it seconded. We're at
So
16.
it's not
Rule
an
number
arguing.
17. Rule number 17. The Prime Minister is the only person. The
Can I
Prime
interrupt?
Minister, yeah.
These two people just parked in a loading zone.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we should call the cops.
We should call the cops.
I'm just going to keep an eye on that. Keep going.
I'm taking down
Rule
their
number
license.
17, Tom.
Yep.
The Prime Minister, any things decided by the President need to be signed off on by the democratically elected Prime Minister. I think that's fair. That's a check and balance.
Sure. Okay.
Great. Rule number 18.
Jesus.
This is the last rule. This is the last rule, I promise.
I have a rule.
Only the only
Two more
rules
rules.
can only be thrown out or changed or rewritten by the Prime Minister.
Oh, that's something there. I don't know about
There's loophole. He's creating loopholes upon loopholes to give himself all the power.
Well, you're not going to vote
Promise
for
you.
me.
How many votes
He's
does
got his-
do they
his-
need majority?
This is my last rule. So you would have to then vote for me if you don't trust me.
Do they need
No, I
majority?
don't pass that rule.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I
That's fine.
don't pass it.
That's
Tom,
fine.
Nah.
No, we got to try things and we fail.
We can have amendments to the Bill of Rights.
rule
Yeah, actually, yeah, cool.
rule
We can
number
have him-
18.
I got a new one coming in. Isn't this 17? Because we
didn't pass
said
your
no to
rule.
No,
17.
we're on 18. I'm looking at the list
Oh,
right
okay.
now.
And then I've got 19.
Rule 18.
Yeah.
In regards to Rule 12, I think it is,
Which is,
which is every person gets to choose one place to visit.
yep.
Uh-huh.
That place must be within a 5-kilometre radius of where we currently are.
I don't pass that.
I need one other person to pass it. Doesn't matter if you don't pass
I'll
it.
pass that.
Thank you.
Didn't talk into the mic though, so it doesn't
I'll
count.
pass that.
All right.
Did.
Rule number 19. Rules, and this is, I've heard you, I'm listening and
Yeah.
I'm growing. Rules can only, amendments to rules can only be put through with a majority vote of all members of the car.
Unanimous vote then.
No, 3 to 4.
Majority.
Okay, right.
Majority.
Agreed.
Oh, what's that? That's not majority. That's
Doesn't
yeah, it is
matter.
majority.
I agreed.
So 3 members. Any rule can be overturned at any point. Rule number 20.
I
a
was
challenge
gonna do
to a
rule
rule
20.
can be raised at any time.
Yeah. Rule number
Seconded?
21. Yeah, I second that. So number 20 is can be challenged at any time.
All right, are we done?
Wait, I've got one more rule.
Please, no
Just
more
one
rules.
Just one more.
Oh
At any
my
time.
God.
Rule number
Bloody
21.
Packer
Rule,
over here.
rule number
They're
21.
fucking legislating shit.
Oh, bloody Packer over here.
All right, going.
Rule number 21. Rules are meant to be broken.
I don't second that.
Seconded.
Seconded. It's in. Rules are meant to be broken. Rule
That's
number
fine.
21.
All right,
We've
read,
got
Tom.
other rules in place to protect us from rule number
Leave
21.
All right. Okay.
me
Read
to
all
smash 'em
20
out?
rules.
All right.
Smash them out.
All right.
Go.
A guest can be introduced at any time.
Love it.
2 hands on the wheel at all times.
Love it.
Describe what you see.
Yes.
Do not get in the way of Broden trying to get a Hyundai sponsorship.
Oh,
You are
yeah.
not to listen to next week's podcast in a car. You must rent a podcast studio to listen to next week's podcast.
Very good, yeah.
No veiled threats. Seat belts at all times.
Yes.
If you want to introduce a rule, you must get 2 cunts on board.
Yes.
We must make a list of places to visit and visit them all.
Yes.
Talk into the microphone.
Yes.
No sub rules.
Yeah.
Every person gets to choose one place to visit. Whether we go to that place is see rule number 9. If you break a rule, someone may accuse you of breaking a rule. And then if you disagree, you must appear before the moving car Supreme Court.
Go.
Made up of at least 3 members of the Moving Car Podcast. There is a president of the Moving Car Podcast. The president is he who holds the sound equipment and knows how to use it. The Prime Minister is decided by a vote at every podcast in a moving car. Anything the president decides needs to be signed off by the democratically elected Prime Minister. Places to visit must be within 5 kilometres. Amendments to the rules must be agreed upon by majority rules of the Moving Car Podcast. A rule can be challenged at any time. Rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah.
they are.
Okay, great. Now, we've done that. They're the rules. Sign that in blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's signed in blood. It's
Okay.
signed in blood.
Now, what's our 4 places?
All right, I have an errand
Okay,
that
so
I need to run. If we could go to the Brunswick East post office.
all right.
For parcel I
That
need
can't
to
be
pick up.
that can't be challenged.
That can't be challenged, and that is the first stop. It is 4 kilometres away.
Are we
Okay.
going to create some sort of like, are we going to do like a Google Maps, make sure the path is the most
Well,
efficient?
you guys, you can do that. I don't have time.
Whoever's place it is, rule number 22. Whoever picks the
It's signed in blood.
Whoever
Signed
picks
in blood,
the
mate.
place,
This is an amendment.
whoever picks
This is an amendment now, you understand?
it's an amendment.
No, don't open amendments. 'Cause
whoever-
he's got plans for amendments.
All right,
No,
well
I
then,
don't. Remember, so if he wants to introduce a rule, he has to get 3 on
Okay.
Well,
board.
then maybe
yeah.
this is just a gentleman's agreement.
Okay, yeah, handshake, and I.
Whoever
Or it's
picks,
an amendment.
Whoever picks the place must direct the car.
Ah, great! I love that. I love that.
So-
but put in that in brackets. But Broden's real good with directions, so it doesn't probably matter. Lol.
Oh yeah, because Broden's quite good with knowing where things are.
So that rule, so amendment to the rule list signed in blood. Sorry, I have to say this is his custom. Amendment to the rule list signed in blood has been brought to the table with rule number 22. Does the majority agree? Say aye.
Aye.
Amendment 1
May
has
I-
been passed.
May the driver challenge. One vote was not passed into a microphone.
No, I know it was. It was.
It was a shared
It was a shared microphone.
situation.
Oh,
So
remember-
do you
but-
challenge? Do you challenge that rule?
I don't challenge the
that
rule.
ruling. Do you accept that challenge?
aye.
Aye. Amendment number 2, rule number 23. I'd like to bring forward. Rule number 23. If he who challenged the rule breaking agrees to the retort of the rule breaker, it does not need to go before the Supreme Court. So what we just saw then it would have had to have gone before the Supreme Court if we don't add this amendment. So I think we should pass it with haste. For fear of a Supreme Court situation.
Aye, agreed.
Do we agree?
Aye.
Amendment number 2 and rule number 23 has been added to the rule book signed in blood.
All right, now, Tom, where would you like to go?
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
We are adding McDonald's to the list. I believe there is one within a 5 kilometre radius. Also remembering that rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah. You want
And
to go
if
outside
those
the
rules
5
are
K.
No,
broken,
no, I'd rather not.
that
It will take
rule-
too long.
If that rule is broken, that broken rule can be challenged.
That's true.
And that person can be taken to the Supreme Court of the moving car. So yes, they can be broken, but we have other rules in place to make sure that they are not.
Zach, where would you like to go?
I was going to say McDonald's. I want a frappuccino.
We can go to a different McDonald's.
I could
Do you want to go to a different
yeah,
McDonald's?
we'll go to a different McDonald's.
No.
I could change
I
mine
would
if
like
you
to
like.
go. No, because
Too late,
I would
it's
like
been
to
signed in
go.
blood.
It's been signed
and
in
I think
blood.
you're going to like this. It's going to cost us money, but hopefully someone has a Donna card. I would like to go to a automatic car wash.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Great. That's wonderful.
Awesome. I don't have a card.
I don't have a card.
I don't have a card either. Mine doesn't work.
Amendment number 3. Amendment number 3.
Go to, okay, my one.
Excuse me. Amendment number
Okay,
3.
Yeah.
He who chooses any activity or location that requires
Financial.
financial.
Can I add my one? Because this might fix this.
Wait.
And remember, you said McDonald's here before.
No, I'll pay for my own Macca's, bro.
But he's not in a microphone.
That requires financial contribution must pay for it themselves.
Yeah, okay. Very well.
And they will probably be reimbursed later. Just send Sam a receipt.
Okay, great. Here's my place.
I don't agree to that.
But listen, here's
I said I, but I didn't mean I.
No, but you said I.
here's can I play my fourth?
pass that.
Can I go? Can I do my fourth
Yeah.
place? I want to go to Sam's house and get a Donna card, and I move that we go there first.
great.
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
I agree.
It doesn't matter.
That's it. Where he wants to go.
Yeah,
Mark.
we don't get to argue.
You've mistaken the rules.
Yeah, I chose that place.
All right.
He can choose the place. And rule number what, Tom?
That is what?
Rule number, everyone
yeah.
gets to choose one place each?
Yeah, that's rule number 9.
And what's the other rule relevant pertinent
13,
to that?
rule 12 as well.
Rules 12 and 9, Mark. Read up on your constitution,
All right.
champ.
Well, then there needs to be another amendment
Okay, yeah. Bring table it.
that it's 3A.
Bring it to the...
No sub amendments. Rule whatever that is.
No, there's no sub rules. There's never been a rule about no sub amendments. Okay.
Okay, sure. You can bring it forward. We'll see if it gets the majority vote it requires.
3A. If there is a Donna card present, that the person will not have to pay for the thing themselves.
I vote aye.
I vote aye.
And update everyone, the people in the loading zone have moved away without getting a ticket.
Cheeky. They're looking at us,
Congratulations.
looking at them.
Because we're recording a podcast in the
And
car.
we're looking
card
at
is
we're
present.
staring at 'em.
He
And
who
they
has
know.
chosen a location that requires financial contribution shall not have to pay for it themselves.
Okay. I think
can I
we're...
make an amendment?
No.
Oh, just offer an amendment?
Yep.
The right to bear arms.
You want a gun
I want
laws?
to have the right. If in such a situation there is that I need to uprise against the government, I want to have a gun in my moving car.
Aye.
Aye, I vote that.
Get that one through quick.
Very reasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a reasonable amendment.
All right. Okay. I think we've got all our rules.
We do.
Let's go. Next week, we'll go to Sam's.
Oh yeah. So next week. So this is the end of this podcast.
Yes.
Do you know what it's also the end of? An era. I hope you enjoyed the last time ever listening to a podcast where it was the expected norm that podcast be recorded in a stationary space.
Okay. And do you know what how I'm gonna end this episode?
How?
Starting the engine.
Oh, I love
Beautiful.
You ready?
Yeah.
We'll see you next week when the world changes.
You've been listening to the Aunty Donna podcast. Thanks for joining us for another RIP episode brought to you by AuntyDonnaClub.com. See you next week.